Super regionals, get ready, people. Were you just locked in and said, you know what, the finals are starting up here? And the finals we mean by, NBA action and NHL action. But let's not forget about the college kids here. Some of those bonus babies about to be millionaires when that draft does take place. But before we get there, some interesting stuff on the diamond. And Ben, explain to the people once again how we make our way to the super regionals, what it means to get there, and also when you win, where do you wind up?
NCAA Baseball Tournament, field of 64, 16 national seeds that host the regional round, which was last weekend. It's at their home ballpark. 4 teams at each of the 16 regional sites, seeded 1 through 4. It's basically a double elimination tournament and bracket for each individual regional site. So, in that double elimination format, we have now seen 16 teams prevail out of the regionals to play in super regional weekend at 8 sites, the 8 highest national seeds that remain, with spots in Omaha on the line for the College World Series starting next Friday. And unlike a double elimination format, DRS, this is just best of 3 here in this series between these two clubs that will face off in a best of 3 series this weekend. We have 4 of the 8 super regional sites in action on this Friday, starting as early as noon Eastern in Tallahassee between UConn and Florida State. Some big things happening today for Connecticut athletics. And then we will have 4 more super regionals start tomorrow. Again, best of 3 in all 8 super regional sites, with those 8 spots in the Men's College World Series at stake starting next weekend in Omaha, Nebraska.
And by the way, some names that we look on there for teams, right? Florida State, Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, expected to be there on a year-to-year basis. But just in that one graphic alone, you take a look at the first 2 teams, Florida State, UConn, Tennessee, and Evansville. Looks like it's a big mismatch in each one of those games. Now, give me the thought process, because it is a best of 3, not a best of 1, where it's like, hey, anything can happen in a one-game situation, like we take a look at maybe a college football or a professional football playoff, win and go home. Is there legitimate expectations that UConn can beat Florida State and or Evansville can even beat Tennessee?
Listen, wild things happen in a baseball game, which is a random sport even at the major league level. College baseball is even more sporadic. Why do I say that? Just look at how the games are booked. Look at how things play out. Most of the totals that you will see, DRS, are in double digits. There's not 7.5s out there. There's not even 8.5 for a relatively low-scoring game. The 4 games today, 2 of them have an 11.5 for a total. The other 2, 13.5 for the over-under. Why does that lead to wild, chaotic things happening? Because there is more margin for runs to be scored and for the ebbs and flows of a college baseball game to play out. These are not the best pitching staffs that you will see on a baseball diamond, and there is some supreme talent at the dish. So we see a team like Evansville taking on the number 1 national seed in Tennessee. The Purple Aces, the 9th ever number 4 seed to advance to the Super Regionals since seeding began at a national level in 1999. A Cinderella story, if you will, and yet Tennessee is a minus 850 home money line favorite today in Knoxville, laying 4.5 runs on the run line. Don't just think you are going to see the Major League Baseball odds here on the Collegiate Baseball Diamond. So much more margin of error and wiggle room. That's why crazy things can happen despite what is expected for Tennessee. And DRS, I will just say this about the Volunteers, the number 1 national seed entering this NCAA tournament, one of the most dynamic arms in all of college baseball, with Chase Burns, who is probably a top 5, top 10 pick in the Major League Baseball draft. At the end of this month or next month, I think it's actually during the All-Star break, so in the middle of July. So what you need to know about Tennessee being the number 1 national seed, since seeding began in 1999, only 1 number 1 national seed has ever won the Men's College World Series title. That was the very first year of this seeding system, Donnie's Miami Hurricanes, back in 1999.
How about that? Canes all the way through. It was a shame. Look, maybe they'll get back to prominence, but certainly haven't been to the College World Series in a little bit at this point. Let's take a look at some other the series is out there. North Carolina, West Virginia, Virginia, Kansas State, Georgia, NC State, Texas A&M, Oregon, Clemson, Florida, Kentucky, and Oregon State. Are there any games or matchups, Ben, that you're going to take a look at and say to yourself, this is one I want to watch or maybe have an eye on? I don't think too many people are talking about this team. They could make a run here into the World Series.
A couple of names to know. Jack Caglione for Florida. The Gators very live. Their pitching staff not great. They were the 3 seed in the Stillwater region, one of those bubble teams that earned an at-large berth despite being a powerhouse. But now that they are here, rounding into their best form. Clemson very good, where that super regional will be hosted. I would expect A&M to get to the College World Series against Oregon. They are a hefty favorite in College Station. And know the name Charlie Condon. He's batting .420-something for Georgia this year. That's not a misprint. .420+ is the batting average for Condon. Probably the number 1 overall pick in next month's MLB draft. He plays for Georgia, but that is a great matchup. The 7 national seed in the Bulldogs against the 10 national seed in the Wolfpack facing off this weekend in Athens.
Let's get ahead of ourselves here, Ben. Taking a look, because we do have odds posted at the FanDuel Sportsbook to win the College World Series, and Tennessee a heavy favorite at a plus 260 price, followed by A&M at 360. Then that shelf with Kentucky at 9-1 and North Carolina at 9-1. Is it so simple to just look at the top 2 teams and figure they will be the ones standing when it's all said and done?
So there's a really good chance that you will find some value this weekend in the Super Regional starting tomorrow. The second game of the best of 3 in the 4 sets that we have beginning today. That's how I would bet it from a super regional perspective, looking at those series odds. But, Donnie, I do think there is value in Florida State, a hefty favorite against UConn. The Huskies very good, but I would expect FSU to get to Omaha. That 13-1 number should shorten by the time we see next weekend in the Big O. And keep an eye on Oregon State. It's going to be a great regional matchup, super regional matchup, I should say, this weekend in Lexington against Kentucky. But the Beavs have the pedigree of being a team into the Omaha 8. 13-1 right now on Oregon State. Kentucky has that third or tied for the third best number at 9-1 with North Carolina. And I do not think, despite being and hosting the super regional in Chapel Hill, it is easy as the odds expected to be for UNC against West Virginia this weekend.